Right. Okay, that's recording right now. Over to you, Ferdinando.
Can you still hear me?
I can hear you fine. So if I can ask everyone to turn off their webcams and mute their audio, that would be lovely. Thank you.
Yes, well, good afternoon, everyone, and good morning to Joe from his gorgeous spot on the Isle of Wight. Thanks to everyone for registering for the webinar. I think, as I said at the beginning, we have over 70 teachers registered. Thanks in particular to Joe Dale for his support of language teachers in these trying and difficult times. Joe is a highly regarded, generous, independent language consultant, recognised for his expertise on technology and language learning. He has presented in conferences throughout the world, including at the Vardy conference here in Melbourne, and he's also run several professional development sessions for CO.AS.IT in the past. To use an Australian, a bit of Australianism, he's an all-round great bloke.
Thank you.
These webinars are the first instalments of CO.AS.IT's support initiatives for teachers in this era of COVID-19. Our latest contribution will consist of a range of resources made available on the CO.AS.IT website for teachers to use. And you'll receive an email notification with more details on these shortly. So it's my pleasure to pass over to Joe, who will be in charge, and he will give us initially some basic housekeeping rules to make the webinar flow efficiently. Joe, I'll leave it up to you. Thank you.
Thank you ever so much, Ferdinando, for that really lovely, warm and genuine introduction. That's really fantastic. Thank you. It's my absolute pleasure to be here at 7:08 in the morning. It's amazing on what will be I'm sure another lovely day on the sunny Isle of Wight, which is where I live in the south of England. And so before we start, I'm just going to go through a couple of housekeeping rules, if that's okay. So first of all, when Ferdinando was speaking, I went through and I turned off everyone's microphone and everyone's video. So can you please keep those turned off during the session? We'll have a Q&A at the end whereby you can, of course, turn your videos and your audio back on. That's fine. But from the point of view of the smooth running of the session, it would be helpful not to have your audio on. If you want to ask me any questions during the chat, during the meeting, if you click on the chat option, which should be at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a chat window will then appear. And if you want to write comments in the chat, then you'd be more than welcome. If you have a question, then if you can write the letter Q at the beginning, so it's clear to me what the questions are, I will be indicated on my screen that someone has added something in the chat, because it will go orange for me, as it will with you as well. But when I'm screen sharing in particular, the chat window doesn't always appear for some reason, which is a bit annoying. And what I have to do sometimes is stop sharing, see what the chat is, and then go back. So I've asked Ferdinando to collect some questions for me, which we can deal with at the end. But if there's anything that's really burning that Ferdinando feels that he would like me to address there and then, I'm more than happy to do that. But if we have a lot of the questions at the end, that would be handy. At the moment, for example, I've got my chat window open. So if you were to put a question in the chat, I could deal with it there and then as well. So that's fine. I don't mind doing that. But and don't forget, this meeting is being recorded. So it means that if, for example, you wanted to say, "Oh, can you just show me that again?" You don't need to ask me that, because of the fact that it's being recorded. So you'll be able to watch it back as soon as I uploaded it, which will be later on today, which for you guys might be tomorrow, as you might be asleep by then. We'll have to see how we get on. But normally I put it up on YouTube within a couple of hours. In relation to the chat as well, if you could make sure that you have a professional tone at all times. This is a professional meeting. We can have a bit of a joke as well, but it's a professional meeting. That's important. If you could try and not use caps lock, because it could appear as if you're shouting. So that would be good. And yeah, I think that's essentially it. So I'll start officially now. You can see on my first page, that's my Twitter handle, at Joe Dale. If you're not following me on Twitter, if you're on Twitter and you're not following me already, and you'd like to, feel free to follow me. I've now got 28,000 followers, which is a bit crazy, which I started Twitter back in 2007. So it's taken years and years to grow that up. But if you have a question you want me to ask my community, as it were, then feel free to do that. I'm part of what's referred to as the MFL Twitterati, which is a community of language teachers, language consultants, and language associations. And if I just put the hashtag there, MFL Twitterati is the hashtag. If you have a look at that hashtag, you'll find lots and lots of resources. So I can see Laura's asked me a question. How big are the video recordings? Will they? Good question, Laura. So if you're talking about an hour's recording, it's normally about 800 megabytes. So what I would suggest is you upload it onto YouTube, but make it unlisted, or you put it on, I'm not sure if you could put it on, well, you could put it into Google Drive and then make it a shareable link and then put it into Google Classroom. I wouldn't upload the video. Well, no, actually think about it. With Google Classroom, you have unlimited storage. So you could, if you wanted to, or if you wanted to host it somewhere else, put it onto YouTube, but just make it unlisted and make it clear to the students that they don't share it anywhere else. Or you can make it private and then add the students' names if they have Gmail addresses, which they would do if you have Google Classroom, and then only those people can have access to the video. So Google Drive, Google Classroom is probably the best way forward. But if you didn't want to put it there, you could put it onto YouTube. Okay, and then my email address is joedale@talk21.com. If you want to contact me after this session or tomorrow's session about anything to do with technology and languages, feel free to do so. I'm not just saying this, I'm genuinely offering my support for free in relation to that. If you want me to do a paid webinar for you, that's a different thing, but just for emails or direct messages on Twitter, I'm more than happy to help you for free because I care about everybody here and I want to help you. Okay, so let's make a start. So officially, I'd like to thank CO.AS.IT for giving me this opportunity of speaking to everyone today and giving me the opportunity to watch the recording back as well. As Ferdinando has said, I've supported CO.AS.IT over the years. I keynoted the VARTI conference back in 2012, and I've done a number of different sessions, face-to-face workshops as well. And I would love to come back when this is all finished to do more of the same. Okay, so this is what we're going to try and cover in the next hour. There's quite a lot of content here. If we miss some of it, it's not the end of the world. The most important thing is to go at an appropriate pace. I hope that you feel I'm not speaking too quickly and that you're covering everything at the moment. But this is what I thought would be useful to start off with. There's lots of other things we could cover, but I thought I would hone it down to this. Oh, I can see because I've done this session a couple of times, I can see that I've written the word Arabic when it should say Italian. I do apologize for that. I thought I'd got everything sorted. Let me just change that right now. There we are. I did a session for a group of Arabic teachers a couple of days ago, and apologies for that. So yeah, so that's what we're going to try and achieve in the next hour. And let's carry on to the next slide. Right. So I mentioned in the chat before we started that I'm part of this initiative called TILT. TILT stands for Technology and Language Teaching. And the idea was we were going to have a face-to-face event this month, but for obvious reasons that was cancelled. And so myself and my friend Helen Myers decided that we were going to run a number of online webinars. Particularly at the beginning, we were doing between 2 and 3 a week in order to meet the need of teachers suddenly being put in a situation of having to teach online when they'd never done that before. And so as part of that, I decided to put together this resource, which is a 32-page at the moment Google Doc. Just to give you a flavor of what it looks like, I'll click here. This will take us to the page. And whenever I look at this, there's always a number of people looking at it live, between sort of 10 and 15 people normally. As you can see there, right, so at the moment we've got about 10. Sometimes it's normally more than that. And just to give you a flavor, we've got all these different headings here around remote teaching. So first of all, get started. So these are all these lovely resources here, which I've put together for everybody for free. And then if we keep going down, you've got some resources from language teachers, which are here, which could be links or video conferences, recordings or resources. You've then got Zoom tools, video conferencing tools like Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Google Meet. We're going to have a look at this picture in a moment. So all these different ideas, and I've been constantly updating this. When I first did this, it was about 18 pages. It's now nearly doubled in length. And I'll give you the link to this in a moment. And then here's some other screencasting tools and ideas around screencasting. We'll have a look at that later on as well. Flipgrid, which we'll have a look at. Further resources. You can just see it goes on and on and on. And I'm going to give you the link to this right now. So I'll click share, click on copy link, and I'll put it in the chat for you. So, but in this presentation, which I'm going to be sharing with you as well, it has all these links as well. But I just thought I'd share that with you right now. So there we are. So the video of that of my first presentation for Tilt is there, which you can watch back as well. And I've done that a couple of other times as well, other versions of it, which are also available in that long document. Okay. Right, so these are the Tilt webinars. If you want to sign up, just go to the link at the bottom. It's on the Association for Language Learning London branch. So as with the MLTAs, we have different branches, some of which are very active, some of which are less so. And then we have the national organization, which has an annual conference once a year, normally in March or April. I wasn't able to go this year because I just had come back from Algeria and didn't feel very well at all. I don't know if it was officially COVID, but I felt flu-y for about a week and a half, but I'm now completely recovered, and as are the rest of my family as well, which is great to know. And then underneath that is the YouTube, my YouTube channel. So if you want to click on that, you can watch all the recordings of the previous webinars as well. Okay, right, I'll just give you a moment now to read this quote, please, which I think is certainly, it really hit me as a powerful quote, talking about the way in which this could change, this situation could change teachers' mindset on the importance or the value of using technology in the classroom. So this is from a head teacher from Rome. I'll just give you a moment to read that, and then, yeah, we'll then go on to the next slide. But I think this is, if there's one positive thing that's going to happen from this, I think, is the fact that teachers who maybe have been reluctant to use technology before will see the power of using it in the classroom, which is very, very important, I think. So I'll just let you read that. Just be quiet for a minute while I drink my water. Okay, so I'll just carry on then, if that's okay. And in fact, a teacher, head of languages from that particular school, contacted me 2 days ago, I think it was, saying it was lovely to see his head teacher had appeared in my presentation, which was great as well. Right, let's carry on. Right, so then this is from the MFL Twitterati, which I mentioned before. I'm just going to click on the link here and show you this live. So this was important, I think, in relation to the change of mindset. You can see that Francisco here has written, would we see a boom in the use of technology in education after lockdown? Would schools use it as a tool to close the gap? For example, intervention sessions, recorded catch-up lessons, etc. And then this is Adam. He's talking about the fact that he loves being able to go around and monitor people in the classroom live, but he does feel now that as a result of using more technology, he won't feel as scared about it in the future, which is lovely to see. And then Vincent here, if we get around the danger of technology making the gap worse, which is what Francisco is talking about. And then Prof MFL, where will you be finding the time to distribute and mark the work produced as a result of online intervention settings? You're making a rod for your own back. I'm hoping my students will come back grateful to have a person in front of them instead of a recording or email. So as you can see, everyone's a bit worried and scared at the moment and has strong opinions about this. So, but yeah, I would hope that the legacy after this is all over is that we do have a more positive attitude to the use of technology. I don't know if you agree with that, but that's what I think. Okay, let's carry on. With that in mind, I'm going to do a little poll for you now. So I'm going to click on this link. This is called Mentimeter. I don't know if you've seen this before. Actually, before I do that, I'm just going to, this is what you'll see. I'm just going to go to Mentimeter and show you this. There we are. Show you this live. So I'm going to go to my presentations and then click on here and click present. Right. So what I'd like you to do, please, is I'd like you to go to menti.com and put in the code 400825. So Mentimeter is the place you go to as a teacher to create your presentation. I'm not going to show you how to make a presentation right now, but if you go onto YouTube, you can do a search for Mentimeter, and there's lots of tutorials on how to do that. But what I would like you to do, please, is play the role of the students here. Go to menti.com, put in the code, which is, as I've said, 400825, and then I can see that you'll be able to join the room. At the moment, there's no one in the room yet because it says 0 at the bottom of the screen. So if you could go to a new tab on your device, or use a second device if you prefer, and then you can see the question is, how do you feel about remote teaching your classes? So I think it's incredibly important that if you're doing live online sessions, that you have these questions coming up from time to time using, say, Mentimeter, in order to see that everyone is understanding what you're doing and everyone is okay with the lesson. Perfect. There we are. So I can see now that some of you are feeling unconfident. Some of you are feeling confident. Wow, look at that. That's brilliant. Brilliant. So you can see that the largest word is the word in the middle, and that's indicating that more than one person has used that word, which is lovely. I can see now that 12 people have replied. And I can see that lots of different words are coming up. Some of you are feeling annoyed. Some of you are feeling unconfident. Some of you are feeling hesitant, excited. So we got a real mix, haven't we, of positive and negative replies. So isn't that fascinating? I think, to see how that's changing. I love doing this. One of my favourite moments in Australia was when I did a keynote at the MLTAV, and I used Mentimeter, and there were 250 Victorian language teachers in the room, and the word cloud was changing all the time like this. It was just fantastic. I was in a webinar last week with 700 language teachers from Indonesia, and it was incredible, the word cloud. Okay, so there we are. So the importance of this is to see how people are feeling in the room, but also the point that it's very important that to ask people questions, I think, during your sessions, to see where people are at, as it were. So thank you ever so much for everyone that's replied so far. I'm now going to go on to slide 2 in my Mentimeter presentation. And this one I've just written, where are you from? I would just be interested to know, obviously you're all from Victoria, but I would imagine, but if you could just say, put the name of the town. I don't mean like your full address. I'm not asking you to say the street where you live, but just the name of your town. Wow, you live in a place called Fine. That's interesting. And then that would be really cool. And then, there we are. So we can just get a mix of where people are from. That's lovely. And then in a moment, I can show you how you can turn this, which is called the open-ended slide, into a word cloud as well. And we can see where most people are from. Although you seem to, I think it's going to be Melbourne, isn't it? But that's just lovely. Well, I'll just give you a moment to fill that information in. When I did this with the session for the Indonesian teachers, we had some people from all over Indonesia, most people, but also some people from the UK, some people from Saudi Arabia, some people from Sydney, I remember, someone from Russia. So the great thing about webinars, it means that everyone can join from wherever they have, as long as they have a internet connection. Right, so bottom left of the screen, I've got a cog here. So if I click on that, I've got some options, including countdown. So you could have a number of seconds that you give people to fill in the information, but you can also click on change layout. So I can click, for example, on word cloud, and we can now see, unsurprisingly, that Melbourne is the most popular destination here. But we've got someone from Italy. That's amazing. But you can get a feel for where people are from as well. So it's a nice way of doing that. So, okay, so I can see that I've been asked about how do we leave the screen to go to menti.com. So you could, depending on if you're using the web version, you could just click on another tab, open up another tab to then access this. But so as long as everyone is on this, you can see that people have filled this in, but which is the point. But in a real situation, you'd have to go to another tab to then access the screen. So I'm sharing my screen, but to then input your information, you'd have to go to another tab. Right, so let me click on the arrow, and this is another exercise type. This is a bar chart. So I just would like to know approximately who's using Zoom, who's using Microsoft Teams, who's using Google Meet, or who's using something else. If you're using something else, feel free to write in the chat what you're using. The other options could be, for example, Jitsi or Blackboard Collaborate or those sorts of things. I noticed yesterday that on Facebook now or Messenger, you can now have a video call up to 50 people. I'm not suggesting using Messenger in a classroom situation, but it's just interesting that Facebook have brought that out now as another possibility. If you're in an Office 365 environment, probably Microsoft Teams is going to be the safest solution. Google Meet likewise in a G Suite situation. But if you don't have a particular learning platform, then Zoom is a good idea. Yeah, Seesaw, I can see Nancy's using Seesaw. Lovely. But with Seesaw, you don't have, oh, I see, yeah. So you're video conferencing with Zoom, but then you're using Seesaw to collect the work. So anyone else that's written other, feel free to write that in the chat. Yeah, great idea, Nancy, for feedback as well. Audio feedback or written feedback with Seesaw, that's great. Lovely. Are some of you not allowed to use face-to-face video conference? Video conferencing. Do you have to do everything asynchronously? That would be interesting to see in the chat as well. Because in the UK, some schools are not allowed to have video conferencing sessions because of safeguarding reasons, e.g. the children being able to see in each other's houses and the teacher being able to see in other people's houses and vice versa. Okay, that's lovely. Thank you so much. So let's go back to my presentation. Okay, so Nancy, you said you're not allowed to have one-to-one sessions. Fair enough. Shobi, yeah. We're going to have a Tilt webinar on Shobi later on as well. So I'm going to go back to my presentation now. I can still see the chat, which is lovely. So keep your comments going. Right, this is a presenter, a guy called Russell Stannard, who I know very well. I've been connected with him for many years. And if you are using Zoom, I would really encourage you to check out his tutorials, which are available at the bottom here. He does lots of tutorials all around online tools which can be used for language learning. He's an English language teacher by background, now a consultant. And he's done a whole series on Zoom. But he's also done ones on things like Quizlet and other such rooms. We're going to experience a breakout room later, Laura. So I'll show you that in reality later. But essentially, you can put different students in smaller groups so they can chat together and then bring them back into the main meeting. But I would particularly recommend looking at the Zoom Security for Educators video that he's done, which is excellent. And then the one we're going to have also the breakout rooms one is also excellent as well. So let's carry on. So in this next slide, I mentioned before we started that Zoom have added some new security features. And so you can see now, for example, using the main interface, not having to go to settings, you can now have access to being able to mute people on entry, muting people at any time during the session, turning off screen sharing and chat. There's a keyboard shortcut, which is very useful, which is Alt-M for Windows or Command-Control-M for Mac, which mutes everyone in one go, unless you're the host or co-host, which is good if you've got someone playing silly music in the background or what have you. You can remove participants so they can't return, those sorts of things. And so that's all really, really useful, I think. I've given you some more links at the bottom there. For example, the other keyboard shortcuts that Zoom have done. So in the main interface, if you click on security now, you get these options appearing. And if you click on the manage participants and where you get the invite page, you click on the ellipsis, the 3 dots, and then you get these other actions there as well. So I'm glad to see that Zoom have responded to security concerns and have updated their software as a result. Right, this is the enabling non-verbal feedback. You'll see if you go to the participants window that you've got different options such as raise hand, yes, no, go slower, go faster, more, which has thumbs up, thumbs down, clapping, I'm off to have some coffee, or I'm away from the keyboard. So just for now, can you click on the yes option just to show that I can see people in the room are using this live right now. So this is called the non-verbal feedback. And I can see a number of you are doing that, which is lovely. So you could have a question, for example, from your that you post to your students, and then see how they react by clicking on the verbal and the non-verbal feedback. Yeah, so I can see a number of you are doing that. That's great. This is something that you need to enable. So I'm just going to show you now how to do that. So if I click on the exit option and I go to my account, which is, let me just log in. So if I go to Zoom, now, as I said, I'm using my friend's account at the moment, which is why I'll log in with that. So if I just click here, there we are, and I go to settings. So what you have to do is you have to go to your Zoom account and you go to settings, and then you scroll down, and you have to go quite a long way down, and you'll see here, can you see it says non-verbal feedback? So what you do is you have to select that slider to turn that on. And for breakout rooms, you have to turn on the slider here. What I've done is I've also clicked the option, allow host to assign participants to breakout rooms when scheduling. So that means that that's all sorted. And I can now launch breakout rooms for you, which I will do in a moment. I've just got some questions I can see here. Let's have a look. So, yeah, very good point about creating a nickname for Google Classroom. That's right, absolutely. And I've got that in the guide, which I'm going to share with you in a moment. Yeah, that's fine. So that's how you enable breakout rooms and how you enable non-verbal feedback. So let's go back to present. And if you go to my long document, it'll give suggestions on how to have breakout rooms in Meet and in Microsoft Teams, which is a bit of a workaround. It's not as straightforward compared to here. So you can see this is what the page looks like for enabling it. And I'm just going to do it live right now. So I'm going to click exit. So this is the exciting bit. I'm going to click on breakout rooms. And because there's 50 people in the room, I'm going to do this automatically as opposed to manually. So I'm going to make 10 rooms like this. Okay, so that means you're going to have about 5 to 6 people in the room. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes, and then I will then bring you all back to the main room. But I want you to have a couple of minutes to talk about what you're doing with remote teaching in your own classroom. Here we go. Are you ready? Here we go. I have the power to do this. 1, 2, 3, and on the options, I'll set it to 2 minutes. Yeah, you have a couple of minutes. Right, here we go. Here we go. So I can see that a number of you are coming back to the main room, which is lovely. And the breakout room will close in 30 seconds. So I'll just wait till everyone's back in the main room. Feel free to write in the chat how that experience went. If you enjoyed having the breakout rooms, it's quite fun, isn't it? Good to hear. Oh, okay. You should be able to start your video, I think. Okay, let me just stop that now. And then if we go back to, let's have a look, right, okay. Right, so if I go back to here, there we are. I'll just click back on gallery view. That's lovely. All right, okay, yeah. So you should have the power to turn your video off and on. I just turned everyone's video off. In fact, if I could ask you to turn your videos off again now, just from the point of view of the actual session, but you should have the option in a breakout room to turn your video on, I think. I'm not sure what's happening there, Andrea, but yeah, so if you've not been in a breakout room before, that's how that works. So that's lovely, thank you. Right, let's I
have a message saying that you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
Right, okay.
And that was a bit earlier ago, but that's okay. I mean, this is probably one of the strange things.
Yeah. Okay. If I go to, let's have a look on. Hang on. If I go to, here we are. Right. If I click more, I can click. Right. If I click ask to start video, you should have a message now saying you can turn on your video. Yeah. So can you now turn off your video? Do you have that? Do you have that option now to turn off your video?
Yep. Yep.
There we are. Okay, I'm not okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, that's fine. So Louise is saying I could hear, but no one could hear me. So that you should be able to unmute yourselves or turn on your videos. You have the control to do that in a breakout room. Otherwise, it's a bit silly. Yeah. So let's carry on if that's okay. But thanks for being doing that. Right. This is the document I've mentioned a couple of times. So this is was put together by some experts in their areas, people I know personally through chatting online. And so they're all language teachers who put this together. I created a number of Google Forms, 3 Google Forms, one for Zoom, one for MS Teams, and one for Google Meet. And I sent them to 1 or 2 people each who are experts in using these tools. But I asked them all the same questions. So for example, you've got things like, can students join a session before the teacher? Can the teacher enable a waiting room, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And there's actually 2 pages of these. If I go on to the next page, you can see that's how this works. And so by sharing this with the wider community, everyone can have a very good understanding of how to set these things up safely and securely. And if you're not sure about any of these, you can see that the Twitter handles of the people who took part in this are below. So you could ask them personally, or you could ask me to ask them, or look online as well. But I've had all these double checked, not only with these people, but with the community in general. And it's received a lot of love over the last couple of days from teachers who are finding this very useful. So you're getting this for free. There we are. Right, let me go on to the next page. This is a nice article that was put together by a former assistant head teacher who's now a consultant, called Teacher Toolkit Online, or his real name is Ross Morrison McGill. And this is a nice article to send to principals or head teachers around the use of safeguarding, not just in relation to Zoom, but security of video conferencing. And so it's got some nice official documents from Zoom and other good advice on how to keep people safe online for everybody. Okay, if I go on to the next one, this is the hack that I was talking about earlier. So what happens here is you can actually have a second device that you can join into the same meeting. So you have, if I was in a meeting, in fact, let me just demonstrate it live. It's going to be easy if I just demonstrate it live, right? So what I'm going to do is in Zoom, I'm going to sign in. So I'm explaining to you live what I'm doing right now. So I'm logging in with my friend Helen's account on my iPad like this. Oop. And the important thing is you have to mute the audio on your first device, otherwise you'll get feedback. So I'm going to do that right now. So bear with me. I'm just going to mute myself. Okay, for some reason, hang on. Yeah, right, okay, 2 seconds. Let's just get the, right. Here we are, right, so. It'll be worth it, bear with me. Oh, okay, and then right. Okay, so on my screen, if I go to gallery view now, let's just make that a bit bigger. If you'll go to gallery view, like this, right. Right, sorry, you should be able to hear me now, yes? Yeah, okay. So if I turn on my video, there we are. And then if I tap here and here, then yeah, perfect. Right, can you see what's happening? I'm pointing my second device, my iPad, at my desk. And now I can write, and you should be able to see this. So I'm writing CO.AS.IT like that. Yeah, can you all see? So in other words, you can have your second device as a type of visualizer, which I'm literally holding right now, but you could prop it up on books or what have you, and use the back camera, which is the better camera out of the two normally, which could be your phone or an iPad, and you could be using this as a type of visualizer, but remotely in a video conferencing session. Hopefully that makes sense on what I've done. Yeah, so I'm going to leave the session now in my second device and come back with my main device. Right, here we go. So leave meeting. And then I now unmute myself. So hopefully that was clear on how that worked. I know it took a little bit of time, but there we are. Right, let's go back to, here we are, right. Back to the session. Okay, so let's get rid of that and then click present. Perfect. Right, lovely. Excellent. Right. Okay, so that's how you do that, and that went down really well when I tweeted about that recently. Right. This is around screencasting. So if you're doing asynchronous sessions, then you might want to use screencasting. In other words, you record your screen, you would talk over the top. It could be, for example, if you want to record your screen talking about a Google Slides presentation or a PowerPoint, or giving video feedback about a Google Doc, you can record your screen. So that's a nice way of creating an asynchronous task for your students. The tools here are Loom, Screencastify, and Screencast-O-Matic, and they all work in a similar way. I particularly like Loom and Screencastify. Screencastify, you can record for up to 5 minutes, and it has the floating drawing tool, which is very useful. Loom, you can apply for a pro account, details of which are in the Google Doc, and it means you can have unlimited recordings, which is also really nice as well. So I was going to show this live, but as we've only got about 15 minutes to go, I think I'm going to go show Screencastify later, but I'll just point out this article here. This is an article which I wrote on a Facebook group that I'm part of at the moment, which goes through lots of ideas around screencasting in languages, giving the different options. And you can even just do a PowerPoint, record your voice, and export that as a video, and just do that instead if you wanted to. I can see some people liking Screencastify in the session, which is lovely. Okay, let's go back to here, and let's go back to the next option. So again, this is some teachers from the MFL Twitterati who've written about the use of screencasting. So you can see here, Ms. Egan has written, using Loom to walk students through a sample answer saves time in class, promotes autonomous learning and sense making, allows for a flipped classroom. Cannot recommend this tool enough. And what I particularly like about this quote is underneath, you've got Loom themselves saying, love this, so glad we could be useful for your class. And then on the right-hand side, we've got Ms. Grice MFL saying, use Zoom for the first time yesterday. Thanks for the tip, Joe, and was surprised how easy it was to use. Definitely recommend it for anyone teaching from home. Rachel saying, how does this compare to Screencast-O-Matic? I've been using that one so far. She then replies, can't compare because I've only used Loom, but it's so simple. The kids really like it. Only downside is it can take a while to trim or edit your videos, but I really rate it overall. Rachel says, I'll have a look, thank you. So that's just lovely, isn't it? Let's carry on. Google Forms, Edpuzzle and Quizizz. We're going to be looking at some of this in more detail tomorrow, but this is a conversation I had with Andres, who is a Spanish teacher from Malaysia, and he's using Google Forms as a way of self-marking vocab tests, but you can use it for listening comprehension as well if you have a video clip at the top of the screen. Likewise with Edpuzzle, you can put markers in the video so that when you get to that point, the question comes up and the children have to reply to it before they can carry on. This is good for the flipped learning classroom. And Quizizz, which I'm going to showcase tomorrow, has a new audio feature, so you can record up to 10 seconds per question and create remote learning listening comprehension, which I did live with 700 language teachers in Indonesia last week. So we're going to have fun with that tomorrow. So if you've not heard of Quizizz, it's a bit like Kahoot, but it has this audio question option. So Belinda's asked about the flipped classroom. So a flipped classroom is when instead of having the instruction in the lesson face-to-face, you create a video normally or some audio or a PowerPoint that the children access beforehand, and then that frees up more time in the lesson for them to do activities and to access higher order thinking skills. So the flipped classroom is whereby they do the presentation part before the lesson independently, and then they go from there. Right, Flipgrid, it has been acquired by Microsoft a while ago now, and it's very, very powerful. You can, as you can see here, it says some really lovely videos from year 9 this morning on Flipgrid, even got a subjunctive touch community of confidence. We may not be face-to-face, but Zoom, Flipgrid and Hangouts are the next best thing. So Flipgrid allows you to create a grid, unlimited numbers of grids. It could be 1 grid per class. Within that grid, you can have unlimited topics. So if you create a topic, you then record a video at the beginning of that grid in the target language, and then you encourage the children to then record their answers to that. And they've recently added screen recording. So you can now screen record on the screen. And if you go to the link at the bottom there, there's a tutorial describing how to do that. And there's also a Flipgrid Chrome extension now, which you can access. And there's also a whiteboard, which you access in the recording screen. There's a whiteboard option, which means you can create like a grammar explanation, for example, on the screen, drawing and creating that sort of whiteboard option. And each child could do the same. So you could have a Flipgrid full of whiteboard drawings or video drawings or videos or screen recordings as well. And the way you set it up so that it's in a Google School or a Microsoft School. If you don't have access to one of those, you can then you can set it up publicly, which I'm not recommending because anyone could access it. But if you're using one of those accounts, either Microsoft or Google, then you can set it up so that only someone from the domain can access the Flipgrid, which is what you want. Yeah, so Nancy said, is Flipgrid recommended for lower primary? Yeah, absolutely. As long as you're using the school domain, then that should be absolutely fine. But check out their terms and conditions. But certainly around the world, they're using it at primary. So that's fine. Okay, let's carry on. Right, I'm going to do this one live if that's okay, because this has blown my mind, and I'm going to show you Screencastify with this as well. So I'm going to click on whiteboard.fi. This is another interactive bit, and I'm going to do this live for you. So I'm going to click New Class. I'm going to put in my name like that, and click Create New Class. Now you can see on the screen, it's got a link. Can you go to that link for me, or just put in the code B4V? So you go to whiteboard.fi and put in the code. So I'll do this right now on my second device, on my iPad, to show you exactly what you're going to see live. And then, so once you've gone to whiteboard.fi, you go to join class, okay? You put in the code, which in this example is B4V, and then you tap join class. And what should happen now is on the screen, I'll be able to see everyone's drawings, and you'll be able to see just your own drawing. So this is the equivalent of doing mini whiteboards, but in a remote learning context. Okay, so I'll just give you a moment to all join the class. And I'd like you to draw a picture describing how you're feeling right now about remote teaching. So I'm going to draw a lovely heart like that. And you'll see that on my, can you see? It says Joe here, and it's appeared on the screen as my heart. So if you can draw now, you can use different colors if you want to. You can also add text if you want. So the code is B4V, B4V. Okay. So I can just copy the link as well for you in the chat. If you're confused about what to do, you just click on that link, and it's all allowing you to draw. And I'm just going to demonstrate as well. Let's see if I can find a willing volunteer. So let's choose, I'm going to choose Alexander, if that's okay. So I'm going to click on Alexander's one. You can see that if I feel that Alexander's is inappropriate, I can erase his drawing, or I can actually kick him out of the room. But I'm not going to do that, of course, because I'm very grateful for Alexander for his drawing. But what I am going to do is click on Screencastify here. Now, this is a Chrome extension. I'm going to turn off my video, which I need to do, otherwise it won't work, because I can't have Screencastify and Zoom using my video. I'm going to choose Embed Webcam. And if I, yeah, that's fine. If I click Show More Options, you can see that I've got a drawing tool which I need to enable, which I've now done. So now when I click recording, record, there we are. I should, there we are. So I'm now recording the screen, and I'm going to click on the pen tool. Alexander, can you carry on drawing on your page to see how this is working in real time? So what I'm doing is I'm trying to show how you can give immediate feedback to the person who's drawing, and I'm drawing as well. This is being captured by video conference, sorry, by Screencastify even. So it means, Alexander, if you could carry on drawing on your screen, that'd be really helpful to show how you can draw while I'm drawing as well. And because I'm using Screencastify, I'm recording everything that I'm doing. And if Alexander was drawing as well, I'm not sure why he's not right now, but if he was drawing as well, that he would we'd also be able to see that. And if he was talking, that would be recorded as well through my system audio, and I'm recording as well. So I'm not sure. Are you still with us, Alexander? Never mind. Okay, so if you have to just imagine if he was drawing, then that would work. Okay, can you draw on the screen on your whiteboard for me, just to show you how it works? Okay, you're trying. Okay, I did this live before and it worked absolutely fine. I'm not sure why that's not working, but you get the idea. I'm going to click stop now on the recording, like this, and I'm going to click. Oh, let's do that again. And click stop. There we are. And what that's going to do, that's going to now play this back. I'm going to unmute my audio. Pen tool. Alexander, can you carry on drawing on your page to see how this is working in real time? Audio. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to show how you can give immediate feedback to the person who's drawing. And I'm drawing as well. This is being captured by video conference. Sorry, by Screencastify even. So it means, Alexander, if you could carry on drawing on your screen, that'd be really helpful to show how you can draw while I'm drawing as well. And because I'm using Screencastify, I'm recording everything. So hopefully you could hear my audio in the video recording. I'm not sure why Alexander wasn't able to draw there, but when I demonstrated this on Saturday, it worked absolutely fine. But you get the idea. So someone's asked the question, can I draw on other people's whiteboards in whiteboard.fi? No, I can't. But if you wanted to have that functionality, you would use something like Jamboard, which is a Google tool. The idea of this is you only get to you could only draw on someone else's screen if you were using another tool like Screencastify, but you can't do it within whiteboard.fi. And if I now click on copy shareable link, which I've just done, I can now paste that link in the chat. And if you wanted to, you could then watch back the video tutorial that I've just done, or the screencast I've just done using Screencastify. So this is incredibly powerful, I think, for giving immediate feedback on any drawings that the children are doing. If I go back to whiteboard.fi and click close on Alexander's picture, another thing that you can't do with whiteboard.fi is you can't export everything, all the pictures in one go. But if you have a piece of software called Qt PDF Writer, which is what I do have, I can click on the 3 dots in Chrome and click print. This will come up. And as you can see here, it says Qt PDF Writer. If I now click print, I can print off everybody's whiteboard as one PDF. So that's a workaround. So if you want to have evidence of the work that the children are doing, that's how you can do it. So I hope you found that useful on using whiteboard.fi. And we've still got a few minutes to go. So if I go on to the next one, this is just a little advert, if you like. So if you do want some support from me, as I've said, if you want to contact me via email or via direct message on Twitter, then I'm more than happy for you to do that. And I'm more than happy to support you for free. But if you would like me to do a paid webinar for your department or for your school, because I can do cross-curricular as well, let me know. I've given you my email address already. Let me know, and I'd be delighted to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning again and to do another session like this. Here's my, it's just come up now. Yeah, so if I, well, I'm not going to show you my desktop because it's very messy, but you get the idea. If I were to open the PDF, you'd be able to see all the pictures like that. Okay, so there we are, advert over. I'll turn my video back on. We'll go on to the last slide, and there's the presentation. If you'd like to access this presentation, feel free to do so. And I'm more than happy to stay on for a few more minutes because we started about 5 minutes later than the 4 o'clock start your time. So this is the opportunity now to turn on your microphones, open up your videos. And if you want to ask me any questions about anything that I've talked about, don't forget all of this is being recorded. So we can, you can watch that back. But if we all turn on our microphones right now, and have a few final words about anything else that you would like to ask me. But sincerely, I hope you found that useful. And if there's anything you're not sure about, just ask me either now or via other forms of communication, Twitter, etc. And I'm more than happy to help. But if you have a burning question or you'd like to write something in the chat, or you want to ask me by using your microphone, then feel free to come on the mic and to ask me that right now. So we've got 5 minutes, 6 minutes for questions, and I'd be more than happy to answer anything, or anything not necessarily related to what I've shown, but anything that you want to ask about remote teaching and a technology question. I'll try my best to do that. Okay, so I can see that Prof. Destro has said, my sound is not working properly. Internet, yeah, that's probably down to your internet connection, I would suggest, but thank you. Yeah, and I've shared the whole presentation with you, so you've got all that homework to have a look. But what I would recommend is just going onto YouTube and doing a search for example, Zoom or whiteboard.fi, and there'll be articles and what have you to have a look at. Just to be very clear, Dale is my surname, Joe is my first name. So it's nice that you say thank you, Dale, but that's actually my surname. Fantastic. So let's thoughts on remote authentication. That's a great question from Joanne about, do you have any thoughts on remote authentication of assessment? So for speaking, it's very clear, I think, if someone's reading reading a text when speaking, you can, as a language teacher, you can work that out pretty quickly. For summative assessments for writing, I asked this question on Twitter a couple of days ago, and I had lots of replies, and I'm actually collating an article around that, probably today, actually. But some of the advice was there's a tool called exam.net. Let me just bring up this. Now I'm not saying hand on heart you can avoid people using Google Translate, but there's one called exam.net, which is free for 2020 apparently. It's a Swedish tool, and after 2020 they're probably going to be charging, apparently, and they're charging €4 per student at the moment in Sweden for it, but for everyone else it's free, and you can upload a PDF or a Word document into exam.net. You then start a timer with the students, you give them the code, they then log in, and then they can then reply or answer the exam. You can then choose them to force submit it at any time. So you can give them, say, an hour to do it. You can send a message to them at all times, and it actually monitors their screen. So if they've left the keyboard for a minute or a couple of minutes or what have you, then it will note that, and they can actually be locked out of the machine. So what you could be doing is you could be in a live Zoom call when you're literally watching their hands while they're doing it, while they're completing exam.net. So that might be one way of ensuring they don't use Google Translate in order to complete an exam. The other thing you can do is you could use things like what's called Backdraft, which is Google Doc Chrome extension, which allows you to see all the revisions of a document. So if suddenly there's a big chunk of text which has been copy and pasted in, it's very clear to see that on the screen. So, yeah, so that's a couple of ideas. But as I said, I'm going to be putting together this article probably today in order to give some other suggestions. But that's a real challenge to try and do summative assessment on writing and stopping the children using Google Translate. So thank you for the question. Let's see if there's anything else that people are asking me. Thank you for the private messages as well. That's lovely. Yeah, true, Prof. Destro. You know, remote teaching is okay. It just takes much precious time to trial all these great programs out. I think this is what stresses out more. Absolutely, I couldn't agree more, which is why I'm spending all my time trying to help people and suggest, you know, the shortcuts or good tools to use through that document and what have you. But clearly, you know, you have to have some time in working out how these things work. But the idea of these webinars and my support in general is to try and work out the best way through so that I am cutting down on your time, because I appreciate, you know, teachers are busy and stressed, and probably a lot of you are feeling very scared at the moment around how this is all going. But by providing webinars like this, for which I'm very grateful that CO.AS.IT has made this possible, hopefully these shortcuts should get you to the cream of the crop, as it were, the good tools straight away, and then you can then work out how you then use them in your own classroom situation. And it's obviously, that's a very personal thing. It depends on how you want to use them. But I think having a good idea of the core tools that you can use and giving you that structure is incredibly important. Right. Anything else? Wow, okay. Do you know an online instrument that collects all the videos available where a particular word or sentence is pronounced? I have no idea, but I'm wondering why you would want that, just out of interest, but I don't know about that one. I don't know everything. I know quite a lot, but I don't know everything. Right, okay, so let's see if there's any other questions. Right, is there an option to stop the participants from using the chat? Yes, yeah, you can turn off well, certainly in Zoom. If I just stop sharing my screen. Hang on, if I just click exit here, there we are. Right, there we are. If I go to security, I can turn off the chat option, so I can stop the chat in Zoom. In other tools, if you have a look at that security guidelines, which I've shared with you already, you can check it out there. Right. Right. How can I use Google Classroom for Italian in primary school? Okay. There's a fantastic Facebook group, which I can show you right now, which I would highly recommend you have a look at. So if I do a search, actually I've got it here. Just give me 2 seconds. If I go to all my, here we are. Right, it's called Google Classroom for MFL teachers. Right, MFL stands for Modern Foreign Languages. This is it's got 900 members now, and it's only been around for about a week. So if you go to Google Classroom for MFL teachers and ask to join, then there'll be lots and lots of advice there from language teachers on how to use Google Classroom. Everyone's getting very excited at the moment about making your own customized banners using Canva at the moment. So and there's some really nice articles about, for example, marking up PDFs using Google Classroom and things like that. Okay. I'm sorry, what was the question? I didn't hear what that question was, sorry. Right, okay, so let's just see if there's any other questions. I think that's everything. Don't forget, we're all meeting tomorrow, so if you want to come along tomorrow, you can ask me some more questions. And so tomorrow is going to be more, we're just going to be having a play basically with lots of different interactive things. I won't be having like a full presentation in the way that I've done now. I'm just going to be demonstrating different tools. And as we've done with whiteboard.fi, we're going to be doing a lot of these things live, which I thought was quite nice. I thought the first session was good to sort of set out the structure and an outline, whereas in the next one, we're going to be doing lots of interactive tools. So if you make sure you've got ideally 2 devices, so you can, if you're finding it difficult, watch me on Zoom, then opening up a new tab. You have 2 devices with you. We can do that. So it's now 8 minutes past, and my stomach, 7 minutes past. My stomach is rumbling. I've not had any brekkie this morning yet, but it's all fine. But if you have any other questions you want to ask me right now, feel free to do so. I'm more than happy to hang on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. I think we'll
Thank
finish
you.
it there. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, well done.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Ciao, ciao, ciao. A
domani. Ciao a tutti, a domani. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now, and I'll put this up on YouTube in the next couple of hours, and I'll see you all tomorrow. But thanks ever so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.